The information provided on this podcast is for general informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your qualified health provider with any questions you may have. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard on this podcast. Reliance on any information provided here is solely at your own risk.
Welcome. This is Birth, Baby. Your hosts are Sierra Morgan and Samantha Kelly. Sierra is a birth doula, hypnobirthing educator, and pediatric sleep consultant.
Samantha is a birth doula, childbirth educator, and lactation counselor. Join us as we guide you through your options for your pregnancy, birth, and postpartum journey. Thank you to our listeners for your continued support. If you enjoy our content, please be sure to like, follow, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. This helps us gain visibility to other people that could benefit from listening in. Hello, everyone. Today we have a special guest with us, Lisa Kessler. She is the owner of Hill Country Placentas here in Austin, Texas, which is really cool because it's a dedicated commercial kitchen that's only placentas are being done there, which is really neat. She is also really amazing because she had an instrumental part in having the Texas state law changed in 2015 that makes it so all hospitals in Texas have to give the mom her placenta if she requests it, or the birthing person. And beforehand, they could just, I'm going to keep it if I want to. And that was not good. So she's also a mom of 7 children, 6 living, and she understands the challenges that pregnancy, birth, and postpartum bring. And she has come to us today to talk about something so cool, which is amniotic sac donation. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much.
We're so excited to have you on to talk about this. I'm totally new to amniotic sac donation. Have never heard of that until Sierra was telling me about it. So I'm excited to learn a little bit more about it from you. So when people encapsulate their placenta, what typically happens with the amniotic sac?
So normally, and how I was trained back in 2011 was just to remove the membrane. The amniotic, we say amniotic sac, but there's actually 2 layers. There's an amnion and there's a chorion. The amnion is the part that goes around the baby that holds the amniotic fluid. And then the chorion is the part that wraps around the maternal side of the placenta. And so it can actually be separated. It can be pulled apart. And so the amniotic sac itself is the part that we donate, but normally we just pull that whole thing off and discard it. It doesn't grind up very well. When we encapsulate a placenta, we dehydrate it and then we grind it up. And if you can dehydrate that part, but then the grinding of it does not grind. It's very flaky. It doesn't fit in the capsules. It's not powder like the placenta disc itself turns into a powder when we dehydrate and grind that part up. So normally we just discard that. We also need to pull that off if a mom has ordered placenta prints. A lot of times that amnion is covering the baby side of the placenta, where what we know of as like the tree of life. If you've ever seen a placenta print done, it looks like that tree. A lot of people refer to it as that tree of life. You can't really get a good print if that amnion is stuck to that side. So we've just always pulled those off and discarded it and gone on about our way to do the encapsulation of the placenta.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but it's like a question that people might have, and I just want to make sure it's clear. I think I know the answer, but so if somebody decided, and we'll find out why they would do this in a second, if somebody decided they wanted to donate their amniotic sac to what you're about to tell us, so it doesn't then compromise the encapsulation or product that they would get at all. They're literally losing nothing.
At all. No, it does not compromise it at all. They're still getting the exact same product in the end that a mom that doesn't donate, or if we discard that sac like we've always done, it's the exact same placenta encapsulation. Because what we're really after when we encapsulate a placenta is that maternal side. That's where the meat of the placenta, the hormones are, minerals, vitamins, all of those really good things that help a mom during postpartum recovery. That's the side that we're after. And a lot of our clients will order raw cubes. And when they order raw cubes, we actually take the meat from that maternal side. And that's how the raw cubes are made, because that's where so many nutrients and hormones are retained. That's the side that's attached to the uterus inside the mom. So it doesn't compromise it at all because we're normally just going to throw it away anyway, that amniotic sac.
I love this so much because even though we're not doing an episode about placenta encapsulation, we're still getting like some extra info there.
All this anatomy.
That's so interesting. I had no idea that it wasn't the whole thing.
Yeah.
So what is it that you do with the amniotic sacs when they're donated?
So a few months ago, I was approached by this lab in Round Rock who makes these amniotic sac bandages. I had not heard about this from an actual company. I had kind of heard bits and pieces that this was being done and that placenta has been used for years in different types of wound healing, but I had never actually met a company that did this. And you always hear the scare tactics or people saying, oh, hospitals are selling the placentas. They're really not selling the placentas. Companies, biomedical companies that use placenta, they actually have to get the mom's consent. So any mom where her placenta has gone to like a biomedical company, she has signed off and given that company consent. They're not selling them out the back door, for tens of thousands of dollars. That's not really happening. And in this case too, we have to get the mom's consent to do this. And there is a consent form that she signs so that we're able to donate her sac on her behalf. But anyway, this company contacted us and asked if our moms would be willing to donate because there's a huge shortage of the amniotic sac and being able to make these wound care bandages. And research has shown that these are having such good results that the wound care centers and the burn centers are needing more and more of them because they're just doing such good things with these wounds. So there's a shortage of them. Because of this shortage, the FDA approved that the amnion can be used from any birth. Before this, it was only approved to be used from scheduled C-sections. And so that's why it's kind of opened up the market so that all moms are able to donate their placentas if they would like, because that now they can use placentas from emergency C-sections and also from all vaginal births.
I'm totally putting you on the spot here, but because this was not a question we told you we would ask. But do you know why they would only do it from scheduled C-sections before?
I think because, and I'm not totally positive, but because the technology at the time, the scheduled C-section, the placenta comes out in a very controlled environment in the OR. It goes into a sterile bag. It's a more controlled environment. And so for sterilization purposes, that's really going to drastically reduce the bacteria and viruses that could potentially be on the placenta. And then they don't have to go through so much sterilization of the amniotic sac. But the FDA now has given their blessing to use amniotic sacs from all births, probably because they've done more studies and more research on that sterilization process and how to really cut that bacteria down.
Gosh, that's so interesting. Is it so wild to you that you're like, I've just been throwing these away for years and years
It's wild.
and years?
Wild, yes. And then when this company approached me, I've learned so much from them. I have lunch with the CEO and their quality control director every week now, and they have taught me so much about this world and how incredible. I mean, I always thought the placenta was incredible anyway, but just how really incredible it is. And it's really the full circle of life because it's growing this new baby and giving life to this entire new human. And then it can go on and help people that are really, really sick and really need help because the wounds that these are treating, these are non-healing wounds. They've had this wound for at least 30 days. Nothing has worked. Conventional treatment is not working. And so then they bring in this and 85% chance of healing with this type of bandage versus 12% chance with continued regular therapy. So this is really becoming the standard of care.
That's so cool. Like, I'm trying to picture how it is that they use them. Can you walk us through a little bit of how the technology works?
Sure. So actually I talked to, let me get my notes back up here. So I talked to the CEO of the company. He's the one. So I'm trained to now separate the two. So we get a placenta. Mom has consented to have her sac donated. It comes to our kitchen. Before we start anything, I actually separate the amnion and the chorion. It goes into a little jar with sterile water. And then we swab that sac to make sure that there's no microbial contamination. There's certain things that they're looking for that would not be eradicated during that sterilization process. And then we do a blood sample, and the blood work can be done. So similar when you donate blood, they always take a sample of blood and they make sure that you aren't carrying anything that could potentially make somebody else really sick. It may not be making you sick, but there are certain viruses that we carry or certain people carry that is not harming them at all, but it could really harm somebody that's immune compromised. So the blood draw itself can be done either before birth or up to 30 days after birth. And we are partnered with several midwives in town that will do that blood draw. Moontire Midwifery, for example, I had a meeting with them last week. They're going to be doing the blood draws for all of their patients that decide to do this. So they draw blood normally at 37 weeks anyway. They're just going to piggyback off of that. Super easy. So the blood is checked for viral contamination. Things would be like Epstein-Barr, cytomegalovirus. Those things are sometimes carried in people that would make somebody else really sick, but isn't really bothering that person. So anyway, let me get back to what we do with it. So I swab it. The swab goes off to a facility. It's checked for contamination. And then I send the sac off to the facility. It's in Round Rock. It's processed in their sterile facility, packaged, and then it goes to another place where it is completely sterilized to ensure that it's completely sterilized before it goes on to the wound care center or the burn treatment center that's going to then be used. It'll be used at. So the sac itself is cut into various sizes. The physician determines what size they need for whatever wound that they're healing. An average donor, so an average size placenta, will benefit 30 to 50 people. In some cases, very large placentas. Like we just had a really large one yesterday. The baby was 10 pounds, 5 ounces. The placenta was giant. Her sac was really big, and that can benefit up to 75 people. So then that tissue is then tracked by the physician in the facility that sac went to. They keep records of the processing materials, all the donor information. And like I said, it's now the standard of care for these non-healing wounds. So that's kind of what happens to it. It's a pretty simple process. Not much is done to the tissue itself once the lab gets it. I've seen one, they gave me one, and it looks just like a little bandage.
That's what I was going to ask you. I'm like, are they literally just putting a piece of someone's placenta onto somebody's wound? Like, how do they secure it on? Do you know? You might not know.
They do.
Sorry
So
for all
they
these
just
random.
lay it over. And if you think of like a gauze square, that's the size I have. It looks like a 4x4 little gauze square. They can be much larger than that, depending on the size of the wound or the burn that they're treating. But imagine like a radiation burn. Radiation is typically a smaller hole. And so they'll just lay that piece of the amniotic sac over that, secure it, and then the body absorbs it. So the body will absorb that bandage over a period of a couple of days. And then there's so many proteins in the amnion that it starts healing from the inside out.
This is the coolest.
Yeah. And the amnion itself does not cause an immune response. The chorion, because it comes from the mother's side, would cause an immune response. You probably always hear if somebody is going to get a kidney transplant, they worry a lot about immune responses in the body attacking that. But because the chorion does not carry an immune response, they don't have to worry about the recipient having an immune response to that bandage. Their immune system will not attack it because there's no immunity in it.
I also just think that how in the heck did they figure this out, right? Like, I think the first person that tried to pull these things apart and use this for this, which you may or may not know, but just thinking about the creation of this idea is so kind of funny. And also, I just really love it as a human being that makes placentas, as I've made 2 of them, like we always say how incredible our bodies are, but
Yes.
this is a level up. I mean, this is just so, so cool.
I know
So
we
if
can make something so life-giving. It's incredible.
Yeah. So if somebody, I mean, we know that you and Austin are such a great resource for this, but if somebody were in other areas, do you know, are there a lot of cities that are doing this? If somebody was in a town, how would they look into finding out if there is this where they live?
So I asked the CEO of Stratus Wellness in Round Rock, and he said that they are going to be able to start taking placentas from other areas. And so they can contact me or they can contact Stratus. I'll send you their number and you can put it in your show notes. But around the country, people can start sending their placentas. And I already get a lot of shipped placentas from other areas. So I'm familiar with taking shipped placentas. Placentas that we ship in are normally sent on dry ice or they're frozen. But there's a way to ship a placenta that's not frozen. It's shipped just on regular ice. They have boxes and you just fill it up with ice, stick your placenta in it, send it off. And that's how that's done. So if they wanted to encapsulate, they would probably need to find somebody in their area to do that. And again, just have them contact me and I can try to facilitate finding a lab in their area. There's not labs in a lot of areas around the country. So it's not every area is going to have a lab close by that would be able to do that. So
that's so cool. I didn't even know that you could ship your placenta to you. So that's something new I didn't know today too.
There's a lot of areas of
what a
the
commitment
that aren't covered.
Seriously.
So I have a lot of people reach out to me and they cannot find a local encapsulator, or if they have, the cost is out of reach. I always work with low income women. I'm happy to do that. And even for our encapsulation fees for ship placentas, they're a lot lower than if they were to go to somebody locally, especially in California and New York. It's out of reach for them. And so it's cheaper for them to send us their placenta to have us do it.
Wow, that's amazing. And all of your information is going to be in the show notes. But if someone wants to learn more from you or wants to donate their amniotic sacs, how can they get in touch with you?
So, of course, our website is hillcountryplacentas.com. They are welcome to call or text or email me anytime, and I will get back to them and give them any information I have. But I just think this is such a cool thing. I actually had a client reach out to me the other day and that's donating, and she said her dad had a placenta membrane product because he had a radiation burn that was not healing on his scalp. And she's like, I'm so incredibly happy to donate and give back because this helped my dad.
Oh, that just gave me chills all over. I love that so much. And now she's getting to like come full circle and donate to that same exact cause. Well, this has been really amazing. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. And I'm really excited to share this episode with our clients that might want to have a part in this and be part of the movement to get more out there.
And if anybody encapsulates, we give a discount. They get a $50 discount for encapsulating. Or if they just want to donate their sac and they're not interested in encapsulating, which not everybody wants to. Not everybody wants to ingest their placenta. And I'm starting to have more and more people call me because they're like, yeah, I'm totally cannot get on board with ingesting the placenta. I'm like, that's cool. But they want to do something with their placenta besides have it go to biohazard or have it just, eradicated or burned up in the lab. And so they're like, can I just donate my sac? And you can, and you get a discount, or I'm sorry, you get a Amazon gift card or a Target gift card for donation. So the lab itself, most people don't know this, but tissue labs cannot pay for donations. So that's against the law. So you can't you can't sell your kidney, but you can donate your kidney.
I was planning. No, I'm just kidding.
But you can donate your kidney to, your friend or family member or, somebody like that. But that keeps everybody safe. But I can, because I am not the tissue bank. So I am able to give something to the moms that donate to say thank you for your donation. And so I chose to do that.
So you can go buy some diapers, donate your placenta, and you can go buy some diapers or
absolutely
Starbucks or something good.
Yes, we work with a midwife in Austin, and she tells all of her clients, go buy a month of your prenatal vitamins with this.
That's awesome. I love that so much.
Well, thank you so much. And we can't wait to have you come back because we have some really cool things we want to talk to you about. We know that you know about placenta use all over different cultures. So we're going to have you back another time to talk about that. But thank you so much for coming on, and we will talk soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us on Birth, Baby. Thanks again to Longing for Orpheus for our music. You can look him up on Spotify. Remember to leave a review, share, and follow wherever you get your podcasts. See you next week.